everybody, and welcome again to Living Life with Dr. James. And we've got a tremendous show that's going to come on tonight. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm glad to welcome back Brother Sam here, Big Brother Sam. He's got some powerful stuff he's going to relate to us tonight. And we want to welcome back Tamara, and we want to welcome back Jeff, and we want to welcome back Vicky. Now, listen, this is going to be important because I know that we left you last week swimming in a river. I would say swimming in an ocean as we talked about sex, but this is going to be so key, and this is going to be so important for us. And you know how I am. I like to move freely, and I want to be able to do that tonight. So here's how I want to start off. I want to talk about something because we talked about being able to be one, even when it comes down to sex, but actually being one in a relationship, right? And then we're going to get to the good part that I think that you really need to understand. There is some things that I think people wanted to understand, questions that people wanted to ask, and I'm going to open the floor for you to be able to do that. So in your comment section, you can comment, and we will be able to address your comments as they come in. So if you have comments, please feel free to send me your comments, and if you would like to be on the show, let us know. We'll be more than happy to bring you on the show and have a good time talking with you. All right, so traditionally, after the officiant presents the couple as husband and wife. Now, I'm going to go from this perspective because most of the goals for people is to be married. Would you say that?
Yes.
Most of the goals are people to be married. So they are thrust into this new relationship dynamic of two becoming one. But what does it really mean for two individuals to become one in marriage? Does it mean that both individuals mold themselves in order to adapt to each other, or does it mean just one individual must change? Now, I think that in many cases, the woman probably believes that, she's the only one that's going to change, so it makes it kind of difficult for that to take place. But we're going to address all of that tonight. I want to make sure that we understand that. What if two becoming one means working together to achieve your marriage goal of a lifelong commitment to each other, having family, and creating the life of both desires? Now, the main goal for marriage is to become one. The main goal for marriage is to become one, not to build anything. That comes with becoming one. Family comes with being one. The main goal, I want to answer this for you, that the work that you really need to put into any relationship is becoming one. Now, when you first start off and it's an interest, when you get to the point where you're dating, you get to the point where you're now courting, and you get to the point where you're married, the main goal is to get information, not just to have information, but information on where are you in life and how do we bring our lives together. When you start saying, I want to be committed to you, you are now getting information because you want to bring your lives into a oneness. So the main goal of relationship is actually to become one. So I want to make sure that that's very clear, that these things are happening and you get it. Now, a great definition of becoming one, let's deal with that. Becoming one. While most people seek to be independent in relationships, a man who understands that his goal is to become one will say that I seek to become independent dependence. Now that means that I want to preserve my wholeness, my honor my partner's need to be the same, but also depend on her. Now, most of the time in relationships, people fight so hard to keep their individuality. But remember, in order to be one with a person, you got to be unique, you got to be separate, you got to be whole. You're not coming in trying to find somebody to make you whole. You are already whole. So you're coming in being whole. And now, what is the point of partnership if we can't turn to the one that we love today? I can't hold up my world alone. I need you to help me. Now, it's healthy to depend on people for support. It's not healthy to depend on them for our wholeness and happiness. It's healthy to depend on people for support. It's not healthy if you depend on the person for your happiness. A person can only share in your happiness, but they cannot make you happy. This has got to be something, and neither can they make you whole. Now, the intention of marriage should be never to complete yourself or change who you are, and you and your spouse should rather complement each other as you grow and become better human beings. So remember, in relationships, what happens in relationships? Relationships also operate like mirrors, right? They show us our weaknesses and our strengths. Relationships should help improve us. We should grow, basically, in relationships. When you find yourself not growing in relationships, then that relationship is a dud. It's a bad investment for you if there is no growth. I don't care how you enjoy it, you've got to grow. Relationships are going to grow you. You will change in relationships. So that's going to be important. Now, the intention of marriage should never be, again, to complete yourself or to change who you are. You and your spouse have got to learn how to complement one another. Now, two heads, they normally say, is better than one, but actually what you're doing is you're becoming one person. How are you doing that? You're merging your beliefs together. How do you really become one? We approach life the same, and we view life the same. We problem solve as one, and our beliefs are one, because our beliefs guide our behavior. So that's how you actually become one. That's going to answer the questions of people when they say, well, how do I become one? What about your beliefs? Your beliefs in life will allow you to become one. That means that we've got to put our beliefs, come to a conclusion of what we're going to believe as a family. How do we operate as a family? That is becoming one with a person. Now, when you do that, you automatically align goals, because whatever you believe about money, whatever you believe about sex, if you have the same belief about that, that's going to guide your behavior, which means that you can now communicate better. You can have better communication with a person that you are aligned with goals, because if you don't, what happens? You're going to have war, verbal battles, incompleteness. You're going to walk off sometimes with no understanding of where things go. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it to you this way. A man can have a vision for his life that he wants a woman to understand, but maybe she doesn't want that vision. What happens? Let me go to some of the women who are sitting here with me. What happens to Mary when you don't want that vision? He has a vision, but you don't want it. You want to do something else. Tell me what happens.
Yeah, that's a real good one, but that's kind of hard because, I mean, of course I want to, even though I may not want to be part of his vision, I will try my best to support it. And I will communicate, listen, I get that's your vision, that's what you want to do, it's not the same for me, but that would be.
Well, give me an example. What would not be the same for you, though?
I'm saying, I mean, it depends on what his vision is. If
Let's do this. Let's role play for a minute. Sam, you're a strong man. Give me a vision that you would have that you would communicate to a woman.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. We moving. We're going to move. We're going out of state, right? We just going to pick up and go. I want to move to Arizona. I just want to move to Arizona. So you have a problem with that?
okay, so what I would like to know is
Straight up.
what your vision is for us in Arizona. Why do you feel the need for us to go to Arizona?
I feel like it's better opportunities for us out there. I feel like we can stretch our money and make things happen for us better.
Okay,
Mhm.
but what if we already established
Right?
great things where we are now?
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't think it's like that. I think we should move so we can. There's better opportunities in Arizona.
okay.
Now, are you with me?
I'm gonna have to think about it. I mean, I want us to talk about this thing because,
It's your husband?
yeah, I mean, of course, I don't, if I don't want to go, I'm expressing, listen, I don't want to go to Arizona. I like what I built here. I like what I have here.
Well, let's go visit.
What can,
Let's go visit.
okay, we can go visit.
Let's go visit.
If we go visit
Uh-huh.
and I feel the opportunities that you feel are there are beneficial for not just you, but for me, then.
Okay, so let's replay that for a second because there was a lot of resistance there. I mean, Sam did wonderful because he didn't want to go to war. He didn't want to go to war. And I know he's a warrior. He didn't want to go to war. But there's a lot of resistance there. I think that if your partner comes to you and they say, "Well, I want to move to Arizona," I probably would say it's an interesting idea, but let's examine that or let's look at that. I would probably ask, what are a couple of ideas you're thinking in terms of making money or building a life? Like, what are some of the ideas? Immediately, when you said Arizona, I would be thinking, are we going to go computer, tech? Are we buying a company there? Is it property that we're going to take over? What industry are we in? What industry are you interested in being in? If you're going to change jobs, change industries, then what is that? So that's when you start moving the point of communication towards agreement. Now, there is a conversation that's involved. Remember, conversation is an invitation to share thoughts and opinions, all right? And within that discussion, so there's a conversation, there's a discussion, and then there's the agreement, all right? Most people stay with conversation. They never go to the discussion. They go to the point of screaming, disagreement, but there's no honest discussion. There's just disagreement and there's just resistance, right? So there needs to be an open discussion where there's no judgment, there's no biasness there. It's open, right? Then we move into the point of agreement, and that agreement would be, as he said, well, let's visit. Let's take a look at that together. Let's kind of lay our eyes on the land and kind of figure those things out. Spend some time there as a unit. So, what you brought to the board, I'll be honest with you, immediate resistance.
And part of that is because you telling me, oh, well, first of all, you said we're going to Arizona. That's number one. It wasn't brought to me as, sweetheart, I think it's, what do you think? I'm really thinking about going to Arizona. He told me what we were going to do.
Okay, so again, let's replay that. So if your husband, if that is the way he presents things, I would look at Sam and I think that he is put it on the table kind of guy. If that is the case, then you would say, baby, that's very interesting that you would say that. I probably would give it back to them and say, so we're going to Arizona? And then it would be a touch and a feel or a kiss and like, well, so what are we going to be doing in Arizona? Then you give him the opportunity to flow with his thoughts.
Okay.
All right?
Because I think I need a little more, I need a little more insight.
If he comes and he's just a straight shooter like that, it's kind of like, okay, so baby, what are we going to be doing in Arizona? It's kind of, and then it gives him a chance to soften himself, gives him a chance to gather his thoughts, it gives him a chance to present it the way he really wants to present it. He doesn't feel like he's going to be in a fight.
She done had, as soon as he said we going, she ain't hear nothing else.
But again, it's the presentation.
No,
It's the
and because
presentation.
our environments dictate this behavior, this is the reason why I like these discussions, because these discussions open up an opportunity for people to learn how to change. Well, if you want your communication to change, then we talked about that a few minutes ago, right? There's no honest discussion. We go right into competition. A relationship cannot survive a competition. Who's right, who's wrong, who's the best, who's not the best. Oh, you cannot survive and your communication will not survive well in competition. All right, next thing is force on force. You're giving me force, I'm giving you force. That energy has to change. Now, I would say that if a couple comes in and talking to me and that kind of energy is there, you don't have a good sex life. I can immediately tell you that you may start off slow, but you have more of a banging session. I can tell you now that you probably flipped around and banged a little bit, and that is what you have grown accustomed to. more like a caveman kind of, hit it, and somebody and selfishness of climax, selfishness of climax. I can tell you that now, because a person who really wants to agree when they're dealing with their mate, their main concern is coming to a place of agreement. Sex is different. Sex is more energizing. It is the changing of the energy. It's how you place in your hand. It is how you place the person. It is the way you make sounds. It is some of the words that you use that transfers the energy to the person. It makes the person want to discuss in a pillow talk what their thoughts are and what their goals are, and so there's an exchange. That's how Delilah was able to deal with Samson. As strong as Samson was, he got her secret. She got his secret. He became very vulnerable. So there was some movement there, instead of just laying there, instead of just gapping it there, instead of getting in another position, talking about, can you get it from there? No, I can't. No, I can't. What are you doing? I'm not a child. Now, I'm a little ridiculous, a little crazy, because I would tell you, get up. Seriously. Seriously, just get up. Get up. Let's try it again, but this is not acceptable, because now what you're doing is you're making it seem like I'm a teenager and I'm unaware of how to really have sex or how to have intercourse. Let me change that. How to have intercourse or how to enjoy you, right? Now, those break out into teaching moments. In life, you have always got to know that you're going to have what? Teaching moments. People say, I don't want to teach nobody. Well, then you don't want life.
That's right.
Because you're going to teach people along the way as you grow. You're going to teach them your growth. So that's a wrong concept in the beginning, right?
That's right.
I just want to make sure that the women get it. Tamara, I'm glad that you were open enough for me to use to be able to do that. You all right, right?
I'm good, yeah.
All right. All right, Big Sam, you all right, right? Yeah. I wanted to make sure, I don't want none of y'all meet me out in the parking lot. Now, we believe that in marriage, two complete and unique individuals, notice I said two complete and unique individuals come together to build a bigger and better component that they couldn't build on their own. I'm already unique, I'm already different, I'm already whole, I'm already complete, I'm just becoming better. And so that's what you do. And then I told you that the way that you're going to do it is to now start having a team mentality. And you're going to now learn how to have new problem-solving skills as opposed to what it was that you did before. You're now going to go through the process of changing how you see life, changing your view of life, and coming to an understanding of the view of life, of a different view of life. All right, so now we got those answers to that. Let's get into, and I love the fact that Sam has come prepared to put a discussion out there that I think needs to be understood. We talked about sex last week, Sam. You saw the show. There was some things that clicked in your head. So talk to us. What clicked in your head?
Well, I actually didn't see the show last week.
Okay.
I saw a snippet.
Okay.
Right. I saw a snippet of it, but nevertheless.
That snippet must have did something to you.
Yeah, it did something to me. It did something to me. Jeff sent me the snippet. It did something to me.
Oh,
right?
Jeff did that.
Yeah, Jeff sent me the snippet.
I sent
Start,
what was there, but
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it wasn't a whole show.
Well,
Yeah,
it did something to your brother.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so what I did was I did my little research and I came up with like 10 benefits of sex.
All right.
Right, and they are start with number one. It boosts your immunity. It helps you to your immune system. It gives it an extra boost. Right, that's one.
And then you're gonna help them get rid of some of them colds.
And give it some colds, right? that's one. Number two.
You're gonna get this juice to fight them diseases.
Yeah, it says, well, back to this. It said, hopping in the sack on a regular basis may help boost your immune system.
Wait now.
What?
You see hopping in sex how?
Hopping in the sack.
Regularly.
On a regular basis.
Oh, okay. What's a regular basis to you?
Oh.
I'm an everyday man. I need it.
Every day?
Yeah, I'm
Every day?
every day. I can do it in the morning, and I can do it at night.
At my,
Put me to sleep and wake me up.
yeah, that's nice. But at my stage, I like 3. If I can get 3 times out of the week, I'm good. I'm good. But every day, I don't know if I can. I used to be.
I'll be mad.
I used to be like that.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, I'm 59. I'm not wasting nothing. I'm telling you, I would be upset.
You upset a lot.
I'm upset a lot. Anger management. Let me come back. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Number 2, improves heart health. Some men worry about their sex could trigger a heart attack, but studies show that exceedingly rare, especially if you exercise regularly. In fact, the latest research shows that regular romps with your partner are linked to a lower risk of heart problems.
Yeah, because
Regular rump.
well, remember something. Cardio work is not just on the treadmill.
Right.
It's not just walking. You know, you can use weights and move weights differently. So as you move around, he's very true. That is cardiovascular health.
Right. Okay, now your favorite one, doctor, the one that you took pictures of, strengthens the pelvic floor.
That's my favorite.
Strengthens the pelvic floor. A study published by International Journal found that sexual active women were significantly more likely to have a strong pelvic floor compared with those who were not sexually active.
Mm-hmm. Got to move the muscles.
Got to move the muscles.
That helps you with the urination problems
Right.
that women tend to have. You know, we got to wear a little pamper sometimes. It also helps
Why
men
you
with,
looking at me?
it also helps men with erectile dysfunction. So I would be prescribing exercises as an exercise physiologist, but just as a therapist, a sex therapist, the person came in and we had to deal with, you know, even if you are a person that climaxed early, there is medication, but actually the pelvic floor exercises will help a man if he climaxes early. It also helps a man in terms of his erectile dysfunction, along with exercises and actually massage. Also helps a man in terms of erectile dysfunction. If he wants to last longer, then he needs to exercise those muscles.
Right.
And men have urination problems too, right? And so if you don't want to take a lot of medicine and things like that, then it's got to be some kind of exercise. Now that's kind of creepy. I see men just clenching their legs like, I don't want no man talking about my penis. Listen.
Pelvic exercise.
You need pelvic exercise.
All right. Number 4, relieves headaches and other pain. Before you reach for an over-the-counter pain reliever, try an orgasm. Whether you have headaches, arthritis, or
Not Tylenol.
Hey, take some Anderson.
take some Anderson.
I'm done. These are 2 brothers up here, younger and older.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It said, whether you have headaches, arthritis, or another type of chronic pain, sex may offer relief. All right. Number 5, helps with symptoms of menopause. Regular sexual activity can help counteract the physical changes such as vaginal dryness and with menopause, says the gynecologist practicing in Brooklyn, New York. So regular sex can actually help with dryness.
You know, most women complain because they are dry.
And
they blame us.
I know, and that's weird. That is weird because
You just don't have sex enough. That's why you.
that's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
And they be blaming us. I'm dried out. Well, you need to do. Let me see.
It's some truth to that.
Now
They're not
that
doing
you
it
see,
enough.
don't you?
They're not doing it enough. Okay. Number 6.
I can't.
Reduces reduces the risk of prostate cancer.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
That's a big one for men.
Yes.
You need to use that thing.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
men don't believe that. I think I
It's
said
true.
it to my sons. I was teaching my sons. I was saying it to my sons. And Amos had to look it up 3 times because he didn't want to receive what I said when I said this is gonna help your
Prostate.
prostate.
Mhm.
You gotta be able to work. You need some work.
That's
Now,
right.
you need to have conversations with your wife so you can put some work in. And she said, why you want to do it all the time? My prostate, baby.
You know what?
Now, here,
It's real talk.
here's the thing. You know what people hate? Real talk.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, let me read this real quick. It says, for men, several studies have revealed a link between frequent orgasm and a lower risk of prostate cancer. The prostate holds some of the fluid that is released at ejaculation. So
Yeah, but the opposite side of that is that if a man had cancer such as that,
Mhm.
that when he goes through the procedures, when he does reach a climax, it hurts him like the devil.
Mm.
That when he does, after he's gone through that process to a certain degree, it hurts him.
After the operation.
After he's had the it depends on the operation,
Okay.
but after he had some treatment, yeah, it does hurt. I've had several patients that came in, and one of the problems is that they were in pain, so they give you medicine for the pain, but it's a crippling pain that they feel. So we've had several people come into the office, and that was one of the things you got to deal with. Psychologically, you got to deal with that. Physiologically, you got to deal with that. Emotionally, you got to deal with that, and you got to learn what to do. How you now begin to enjoy yourself, though you're going through these kinds of illnesses. This is the real talk that I'm talking about. And this is not something that you're going to pray about. It's not something you're going to fast about. It's not something that's going to go away. This is the reality of what's going on in our lives today.
Mhm.
And we've got to have these kind of discussions. Go ahead. You want to say one more?
Yeah, I have one more. Number 7, boost mental health and relieve stress. A large body of research has found that sexual activity and intimacy are linked to lower rates of depression, anxiety, feelings of isolation, and that regular sexual activity can boost happiness and mood.
That's true.
Go ahead to number 8, number 9, number 10.
You want to hear that too?
Yeah.
Okay. Burn calories. Burn calories. Get busy with your partner isn't going to replace a session on the treadmill, but it does count as physical activity. Number 9, helps you sleep. I think we all have been there. Especially if it's good. No, last but not least, extends your life. Wow.
Now, statistics show that a person who's hugged a lot as they age, they stay around. People who are not touched a lot as they age, you don't.
Wow.
So this is the thing about socialization, even if you're not aging. If you're deprived of socialization, like you're a person who stays on your own a lot, you're grumpy, you're irritable, you are not as creative as you need to be. So a lot of people say, I'm good by myself. No, you're not. You need some socialization. I remember when I was young, my mother would be talking to my siblings, and she would say, you need some socialization. Their attitude was ridiculous. They were jumpy. The things is socialization. My mother was a nurse, and sometimes she worked on a psych ward. So a lot of things that we're talking about are discussions that was had in the house. Those things that we're talking about, I think you need to discuss that in your home. The blessing was that my parents did discuss those kinds of things, and gave us an opportunity, to understand what it is to do, and then also going to school, getting this kind of information. The problem in the average home is you don't have a discussion.
That's true.
So what's the answer to this? Stop what you're doing and have these discussions. Instead of you being angry, instead of you being irritable, because most people walking around, let me get these good church people. You're walking around in church and you're irritable, you're sharp-tongued, you're mean, you're not creative.
Preach.
You're always asking God for something that you really could deal with. He already gave you the answer, but you can't because you're in another world. And the truth of the matter is, you really need to be touched. And I don't mean in the prayer line. You really need to be touched, and that is just the plain truth.
Mhm.
I had a case where a couple came in. It was so disastrous. They argued the entire day so badly until one was like, "I'm leaving." The children were screaming and crying. And when it came in, we had a discussion. I said, "Well, let's get to the basics, because it couldn't have been just because one incident in the store couldn't have brought all of this storm of events for an entire day. Let's really get to the root of why it escalated the way it escalated." And you know what I ended up saying to them? It escalated that way because you needed attention that you didn't get.
That's right.
And because you weren't honest, one little thing turned into a disaster. Because you weren't honest over the fact that what you really needed was to be touched. You needed sex. You needed to be hugged. You needed love. You needed to be thought of, because you thought that you were going to have a family day, and it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to turn out. So then you turned around and you lost it.
Mhm.
Are y'all there?
Mhm.
Now, the women sat quiet. I want to understand what the women think.
We can turn this on.
I agree. You should be giving it to me on a regular basis.
Okay, so you agrees to that part. There's no discussion. There's no understanding.
I would definitely say, like, yeah, I'm that. If I'm not giving that touch, that feel, yeah, you gonna know.
You ain't gonna be no worshiper that day.
Mm-mm.
You gonna be asking God, being there crying and asking God for some help. He gonna tell you what he told Hannah. Go home. The answer to your prayer is that you go home and you do something. Jeff, you've heard your big brother talking, so let's talk. Come on, Jeff. What are you thinking?
About.
All that your brother said.
Yes, all of it's true. I agree wholeheartedly.
What would you do in relationship? Because that's one of the biggest issues in a relationship.
Sex. We need to talk about it.
How?
When you're having a happy time, or you're at dinner somewhere, or.
What if the woman says, that's all you're concerned about? That's all you want?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
How would you handle that?
How do I handle that?
You know how to handle that. Go on,
Your brother said,
You heard your brother.
you know how to handle that, boy. You better tell the truth.
It's a big part of it, and if we can't agree on it, then we gonna need to do something about that.
Yeah.
We might need to, seek other people, or try to work on it.
Well, the truth is, before you really enter into commitment with someone, spend more time talking about that.
I do now.
So, you know how you get these premarital things and you go to it. I remember being in one because I was, planning to get married. And the preacher was asking the question and she was just talking. I knew she was lying. I should have said, preacher, she lying. She's not going to do any of that. People come into my office for premarital counseling, and I do put it on pause. We need to take a break. Could you please go get some water so I can talk to this person, whichever one it is. And I want to be honest with them about what that looks like. So I think you need to stop and be honest. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest. What do you think? So Tamara, what does this do for you? Do you think it answers a lot of questions from last week?
I would say answer some questions from last week, definitely, but,
What?
I'm familiar with everything that's been said. I can relate to it.
Okay. So why do you think we have such a problem in relationship then?
Well, that depends on when you say we,
Oh, I thought it was you. Thank you.
I can answer.
yeah, cause I don't have,
I think because you don't have communication. You have to have a whole lot of communication. Like I can say, prior to getting married, I was having some of the best sex of my life. But after I got married and up until now, it's been different. When I didn't care, but it was fun.
So let me make sure I understand something, because I heard two things.
Yes.
Before we got married, even lady, there was lots. After you said I do, that changed.
Yes.
Do you think that happens in most relationships?
It probably does. There's probably some changing along the way.
You guys tell me why. Give me an understanding why you think it changes along the way.
I think it changes because you're not you don't start to be on the same page. And for me, if you're not supporting me, or if you're always, complaining, combative and mean and all that kind of stuff, then I'm not seeing you sexually no more. I'm just seeing you as somebody I want to get away from.
That energy, that negative energy, yeah.
It's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
And the role play,
I don't think
the
that's
role is
always
different.
And
Go ahead.
you know what? Something else, something that you said earlier about people having to be whole, right? First, before they enter, before they become one, right? My thing is, I see so many people that are broken, right? It's a lot of broken people that are going into these relationships, right? And I think a lot of that that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think whoever the guy was, or girl was, or person was before the other one, you need to clear that out. You need to come to some resolutions with that before you move on. I think those sexual issues have not just begun. I think they've always been there. I think you also use sex at that point as a weapon. I think now you use it as a place of punishment for people, to make them dependent upon you. So I would have some concerns about things like that. Those are deeper issues for me. So I would have some concerns about that. The other thing I was thinking about is you could be upset with me all day. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to do it.
But there's another side to that too.
What is the other side?
The other side is you have people who are with someone, and that other person want to be sexual, want to do things, want to try things out. But oftentimes there's one individual that doesn't want to look like their wife or their husband is adventurous, and they don't want to look at them in a different light. So there's certain things that you will do with someone that you're not married to that you don't want your spouse to do, because you're going to look at them differently.
This is true.
And that's crazy.
It's true.
I don't
It's true,
agree
but
with
it's
that,
crazy
but-
though. You're supposed to be.
So I'm going. So in other words, I want to play with parts of you, and I want to do things to you, but because you're my wife, I feel I shouldn't do it because I need you to be pure.
You want to be very respectful to her.
That is a false. That comes with false beliefs about life.
I agree.
False beliefs about life, because you're the only one I'm having sex with. So, aren't I supposed to be honest with you?
I agree.
Now, there are some other issues there too, of why you want to perform certain things. Right? There's some other issues there that need to be dealt with. Because some things I think, you want to do it because of wanting to feel complete in many areas that you don't feel complete in. I still would say the intimacy of that relationship is a little off. And sometimes people try to make it up with devices, toys, roles, all kinds of things, but that's not going to help. Right? You can be jumping from the chandelier. It's not going to help. You can become the maid, and you can play cops and robbers and put handcuffs all over people. That's still not going to work. That inadequacy still needs to be dealt with. The way you see life and view life still needs to be dealt with. And sometimes people feel like they've missed out on life, and they want you to make up for what they missed out on. So there's a whole lot of things that goes on there. I'd probably be saying we need to go get some help. Cause you know, be tying me up and spanking me.
So it sounds like you're saying, because I want you to tie me up and spank me, now you're saying that there's something wrong with me, or there may be
I didn't
something.
say that.
Okay, because that's how it's coming out.
Well, how
I'm
does it
like,
come
why
out?
can't it
How,
just
how,
be?
what, how does it come out?
It's coming out like
want
you
to,
saying if
you
I
want to tie me up.
or I want you to tie me up or whatever.
Why would you want to be tied up?
But what if I just want to be tied?
Tied up for
like
what?
it?
What do you want to feel?
Maybe I just want to.
What do you want to feel? You want to feel what?
I'm
But you
just
can't get
saying.
away?
Listen,
You want to feel?
listen.
You want to feel? You want to feel
Wait.
taken? You want to feel taken?
I hit a nerve, I think.
You want to feel taken?
I'm just saying.
What?
She flustered.
Hit a nerve.
I'm just saying.
I just want to know. You want to feel taken? You want to feel
Regardless
captured?
of what I want
wanna
to
feel
feel,
kept?
regardless of what I want to feel, if that's what I want, why does it have to be
I think we should.
that I want that and I have an issue? Why can't I just want it just because
I think
want
we
it?
should explore some things too, because again, it's like somebody choking. You know what I mean? Choking you or slapping you or something like that. I'm sorry. I can't handle you slapping me, choking me, or none of them things.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
You gotta talk about that stuff up front.
you got, yeah, you need to say those kind of things. You know, you coming out with a leather strap. What's that for?
He needs to talk to me
Who
first.
gonna have that?
Just coming out
So
the cut.
you could use it. I can't use it on you, but you can use it on me.
Nope, never said that. I said that we've got to deal with what is going on in the inside that brought all of this out. Especially when you didn't tell me this was you were about when we got together.
I'm just trying to understand why do you feel that there's an issue there if that's what one likes?
Well, I want you to think about it this way. You know, there was a lot of serial killers that played roles before they killed people because there was some, you know, some things going on with them,
Right.
things that happened to them in their past, things that they wanted to happen to them, never felt loved, you know, or somebody really did, you know, do terrible things to them. So I still want to know, again, what am I really dealing with?
So, got a question, but for the record, you're not against being tied up. If for anybody else, not yourself, just
TMI, Jeff.
Jeff, does your brother need to talk to you tonight? I think your brother need to have a conversation with you tonight, Jeff. Because you telling me you want to be tied up.
If I want to tie somebody up, is
You
there
hit
something
a
wrong with
nerve.
me?
Because you want to tie somebody up,
Yeah,
Jeff?
is there something wrong with me?
Brother, have a talk with your
I
brother.
will.
That's number 11 on the list.
No, that wasn't in there, bro.
You
I
got
need some
some
sugar
issues.
for
hit a
that one.
nerve.
You got some issues.
That's the topic. Bondage.
S&M.
50 Shades of Grey, baby.
What does that mean? What does that stand for? S&M. Slave and master. What'd you say? What does it stand
Slave
for?
and master.
That's what-
State of master.
Oh.
You know that.
What is it?
You're the guy.
No, go ahead say it again. You said it. Go ahead say it again.
Go ahead, say it again.
Don't get
Oh my
quiet.
God.
Educate us.
Go ahead say it.
State of master number. Right?
Say it loud. But there's some diagnoses that go with that. That's why I want you to say it. You're a doctor. Say it. Say it so we can talk about some diagnoses.
Don't be shy.
Jeff,
Yes.
sometimes we really want, even though we're not loved and kept, you know, we do, things do come out in those sessions. And the feeling, like some people cut themselves, some people pick their skin, and some people pull their hair. Sexually, some people get out a lot of frustration and things when things happen. And so again, I kind of want to hear discussions about things. Yeah. So Jeff, you brought that out. So are you telling us you like to be tied up?
Oh, no, I do not. I was just asking the
I
joke.
don't believe it.
You don't believe me?
No,
Tamara says she don't believe you. Tamara says she thinks you want to be tied up.
I know.
Then there may be 18 women in that parking lot when you get out of here, ready to tie you up, Jeff. 'Cause you know you got a little notoriety out
I'm
here.
going with my two brothers. They're gonna protect me. Tie them up first.
Now listen, this brought out a lot. What does it really make you feel as we're having these discussions? As I said, a lot of things were discussed with me, with my parents at an early age. You guys may not have had that kind of discussion.
No, we didn't.
So, how do you feel? Does it make you feel strange? You know,
It used to make me feel strange.
do you think
but
it
I
makes
don't feel strange
do
anymore.
you think it makes people who are just listening strange? I thought I saw Octavia in here somewhere. If you could bring me her for a moment, I want to know.
I don't feel strange. I mean, it's good to know certain things, you know, going into new relationships and things like that. So I don't feel any type of way. I think it's good, you know, to learn.
Yeah, I don't feel it.
Yeah, I don't
I
feel
think
any
now
type
in my life I am well equipped to have the conversation.
of way.
Earlier on in my life, I wasn't well equipped to have the conversation.
Why?
I just didn't know. I didn't have those talks with my parents when I was growing up. I've learned as I've gone, you know, along, and as I've gone along, I've had experience. I've had failure. I've had good times, and now I am well equipped.
I'm gonna step down again. I want to take my seat, because this is important. I want you to be as honest and open as possible. Did you hear some of our discussion?
I heard some of it.
All right. So what's your thought?
Pertaining to which one?
I mean, from what I could hear, talking about relationships and regularity,
Mhm.
that two people have to be on the same page.
So Tamara said, well, what if your partner wanted to be tied up? What does that bring to you? What thought will go to your mind?
A good time?
All righty now.
I wasn't ready for that one. I wasn't ready for that one. I wasn't ready for that one.
I said good time because you don't know what they're trying to experience, and I feel like they're trying to explore you, and you're exploring them in that way. So getting to that.
Do you also think that there are some things that they're dealing with emotionally and psychologically, and that is one way for them to deal with it?
Yes.
Yes. So what I was saying is there's a bigger discussion that needs to be had, and you're right. It could be a good time. I'm not denying that. It could be a good time.
I think the balance of it is where it's like if a person wants to try something new today, they heard from one of their girlfriends or one of their friends, they're like, okay, I'm interested in trying something new I haven't tried.
All right.
Versus a consistent.
All right. So also, could that also give understanding of possibilities of inadequacies or monotonous? You know, the relationships become monotonous. They're not really growing with one another.
Right.
All right. So that brings us back to oneness of mind. Right. It brings us back to growth.
Right.
And being able to explore each other in a very different way. So Sam is very outspoken. I want to hear what Sam has to say to what you said. You know, Sam, what do you think about what she said?
About having a good time?
Yeah, I saw you. You was like, yeah.
To each his own. Yeah, you know, if I still think you need to have that conversation up front, Right, I don't think you should be coming out the closet just
Right,
throwing that
right.
on somebody. I got to get these whips and chains
Yeah.
and everything. You need to talk to me up front. Tell me, look, I'm into this. I like doing this. What you think about this? You know, and then if we have that discussion and I agree with it, then
I'm sorry. He gave you a bit. I've been trying to imagine Sam, and she coming out with something. Sam be like, "Who that for?" Oh no, baby. I got to go. You should have told me it's wild ride. That really would be his conversation. Wouldn't it, Sam? See? Sam be like, nah, where my shoe at?
let's go. You got to talk about that.
All right. So, what about becoming one? What about we answer the question about how to become one? What do you think about that?
I think it's based on your level of honesty and openness with each other. I think some people are afraid to be their whole self. They only present a part of who they are, a part of what they want, for fear of what the other person might feel, or for fear of how they may have to accept that part of themselves they may have had to, put away.
All right. So, you came to church. You were 6 months old. So, some things are so difficult for me with you and Tamara because you were children. Now you're grown women and you have these minds about things. So, but I can handle it. I can handle it. No, they can't. They can handle it. No, they can handle it. They can handle it. I want to, as a person that grew up in church, a person that's still in church. How do you feel about these kinds of conversations that we're having right now? Do you think that that's something that, because we're just people, even though we're in church, we're still people.
Right.
Do you think this is a conversation that we really should understand?
Absolutely.
All right.
Need more of it.
Give the people who love God and who are in church an understanding of why you think these things are important.
I think as far as before anything, we're human. And a part of ourselves desires companionship on all levels. To feel secure, to have the opportunity to love on or show that love towards another person. And I feel like in churches, we need conversations like this because people are dealing with their humanity every day. After church, you're who you are.
Yep.
During church, you can, focus on God in that moment, but after that, you have to go home with you and deal with that. So I feel like not having those conversations causes people to go into sin and to go into finding themselves in other ways that they may not need to if they could just have a place to just talk about it.
So why do you think we haven't in the past been able to have these conversations?
Because we deal with divinity and not the part about humanity.
I think you're absolutely right.
True.
I think that we keep forgetting that Jesus called the elder brother, and when he's in the wilderness dealing with the devil, he wasn't God.
Right.
He was just a human. That trying to show us how to do that. And in many of the stories in the scripture, it's exaggerated, number one. My term, exaggeration, I gave you all the time. They're exaggerated for a purpose. Allegoric. It's written from an allegoric perspective because you're supposed to have emphasis on a few things. And so I think we're cheated, and we really need to become real.
Right.
I think you would keep a lot of people in church if you were. I think people will go to church and get some real answers.
I agree.
If we had some real conversations
Yeah,
and real
absolutely.
dialogue and real discussion. Priscilla says this, when you're dating, some folks pretend to love sex the way their partner to keep the relationship because he or she want the end goal. Marriage, then once I do it, it's done, the real sexual activities show up. Now the person feels cheated. Do you guys think that you got into something and you felt cheated? Thank you, Priscilla, for saying that.
Yeah, that's true.
So what do you do when you feel cheated?
I mean, I'm gonna express, that listen, I this is what I want. This is what you gave me. This is what I need for you to continue, for us to continue. So we're gonna have a conversation. Now, if you can't, execute, then,
Now, no, this is real life for me,
Yeah.
because I was taught against oral sex. My mother beat that into me. No oral sex and no tongue kissing.
You need to sit up here for this one.
And so when I got married, she was quite older than me. And I didn't know her again, because that's an arranged marital situation. She wanted to do oral sex, and I thought that was just the devil. And that was a great, tremendous war. Probably one of the components that made me not want to be in that marriage, because I really thought that you were teaching me against my beliefs. Which is an example of when you don't believe the same.
Right.
Now, when it comes to other things, disease and all that kind of stuff, it's talked to us hard about diseases and what we should and should not be doing, and those kind of things happen. As I got older and introduced to another woman, it was easier for, things to happen. But again, I had to be open. But that's because we become one. So it was easier for her to introduce something to me and me not thinking that it was wrong. I think the problem is the way we have relationships. I think you need to change how you have relationships. Make sure there's discussion as well as conversation. And don't approach everything with such a negativity as we did earlier. Closing remarks, anybody, anything, because I think we need to, when we leave this topic and go to something else, we really need to talk real life about business and money and a bunch of other things that's going on, because those are other things that also disturb us in our relationships.
Right.
All right, any closing remarks from you guys?
I want to say something. I mean, the lack of communication leads to learning through trial and error, right? And that's one thing that I've noticed, right? If you don't have, like what the sister was saying about having open communication in the church, right? You need that open communication, because a lot of us, we don't have it with our families. We don't have it, right? So we go into the world and we learn by trial and error. We make mistakes left and right, right? And some of us get it, and some of us don't.
One other thing, when you're having your sex life, you have to grow together, because what you're doing in 2023 might not work in 2024.
That is
So
very true.
You have to have that conversation, and you have to keep going together.
Keep growing.
Every year, it could be different.
So I don't like women who are interested in me and you have limitations of sex, because every day, if you can't handle that, don't come over here, because you'll be hurt. Now that we understand all of that. Great show, great discussion, great reality. I'm Dr. James, and we'll see you next week.
Excellent.